Welcome back on this episode of our Patreon podcast here, Gentle Art Lifestyle. I'm Josh. That's Nick.
Hello.
Hello. Today we're going to talk about
Our lives.
So this is a really cool episode, and I think in particular just thinking about our lives and death
Yes.
does us a service.
Yes. And as much fun as death is to talk about, so far.
What? Wait, what? It's not necessarily fun, but I guess we can have fun.
Exactly.
It's a good perspective.
Exactly. We know that everybody is going to die. I think that's a universal truth, at least in this life that we're living.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do have a limited time on this earth, right? And one of the things that always puts things into perspective for me is we also don't know when we're going to die. You know, so not trying to scare anybody, but
Or maybe trying to scare somebody, not like in a malicious way.
right. But into a way that serves you,
Mm.
because everything we're doing is shaping up to be our lives. And sometimes we get caught up in the rat race of doing what we think we should do versus doing what we actually desire. And finding a way to live life that aligns with your desires, that's fulfilling and writes the story of your life can be quite a challenge.
Mm.
One of my favorite mindsets, just whenever I'm going through anything, is just trying to be the hero of my own story. And really, what story am I writing as I'm living through my life? Right? Am I the main character, or am I just part of somebody else's story?
Mm. That's an interesting thought.
Because this book will end.
The way that I think about it is this a story that somebody would want to read?
Yes, that too.
Like, would I want to read this story?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we started off talking about death. Why don't we kind of dive into that a little bit? The way that I view death is that it is a gift to life.
Yes.
If you were a something, a god, or a being that never died, or just a human that never died, there would be no reason to get up off the couch.
There'd be no value of time.
There's nothing to be proud of. There's nothing to do. There's no stories to add, because at any given point you could do anything. So why would you do anything?
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
And so if you have death, you have this ticking time bomb that it's inevitable, whether you want to hide from it or not, which is, I think, where a lot of anxiety comes from, is like our society kind of hides from death. But if you want to hide from it, okay, but it's not as though you can permanently hide from it.
Yep, you can't delay it forever. You can't biohack yourself into living for 500 years yet.
Not that I know of.
Right.
There are some stories throughout history. But I digress. How do you look at death?
Yeah, the way I look at death is similar to the way that you just described it, but to use it as a motivator to make sure that I live the way I want to live today. And whenever I'm thinking about my mortality, I'm thinking about the types of eulogies I'd want people to write about me. I like to think about what kind of memories do people have, and what are people really going to think about me after I'm gone? Because, I mean, everybody has memories of people that have passed. And, you know, how do you show up in those memories? And how are you living on a day-to-day basis that aligns with how you'd like people to remember you?
Why is that important to you?
That's a good question. But I feel like for me, it's fulfilling to know that I left a good mark on the world. Even if, you know, my daily messages that I send out, my mission there is to create a ripple of positivity into the world. And I feel like that's one of my main missions in the world, is to just keep shining as a ray of positivity. And the more I can be remembered through that, I feel is better for me and who I want to be, because that is who I want to be.
Better for you and better for the people that your ripple hits.
Right. Yeah. There's no telling. That's so far out of my control.
Mhm.
But I know that if I'm doing these actions, it's going to change other people's lives. And it could be like the butterfly effect, right? Where this small change here affects this small change here, affects this small change here. And then years later, or 10 years later, or 1,500 years later, things have changed because of the actions I've made today.
I believe the butterfly effect, like the saying for it, is something along the lines of a butterfly's wings in Brazil can create a hurricane in Louisiana.
Yep. I think that's the saying.
Something of, I think I picked Louisiana, but I didn't know where the other one is, but whatever. And maybe
Something
it's
like
not,
that.
yeah, it's something like that. So as you were saying that, there's a quote from a song. Are you familiar with 21 Pilots?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know Heavy Dirty Soul?
Yes.
There's death inspires me like a dog inspires a rabbit.
Yes. I do like that. I do like that song.
And like,
can you sing it? You've sung on this podcast before.
yeah. What is it like? Can you take my heavy dirty soul from me?
Yep.
Boom.
Perfect.
That's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really sums it up well as far as death's concerned, because you don't have a choice. Like, if you want this story to happen, and you have to do this. And now, where a lot of people, or at least a lot of people that I've dealt with in my coaching experience, they do in their life what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
What they're supposed to do.
Based on society,
Yes.
their family, their parents.
Everybody but them.
Yes. All the factors that they can't control end up controlling them.
Yes. And then in the back of their head, they know. They
They're
know
like,
that at
this,
some
this
point,
isn't me.
at some point, that Grim Reaper is going to come. And I wouldn't have told the story that I want to tell about Joshua Janis.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a gift.
Yes, I agree. It's like if you had, going back to what you were saying, putting a value on each second that we're living. It's like if you had unlimited money and could buy all the stuff in the world ever, like, does any of it end up having any value?
Exactly. So I think that a conversation about this topic is a useful one for most people in our society with our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back in the day, I think that you would have been more exposed to death. If you were on a farm, your animals are going to die. You have to kill your animals to
Yes.
eat.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, as many people hunt as they do.
More people are around on the farm, and more people like that are close, but it's also a lifestyle that you could easily get sick and that die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like death is more of a normal cycle of things right now, but maybe, like you said, in the past, more unexpected things happen. Besides, like, car accidents.
Unexpected
And
things
things
absolutely
like-
can
yeah.
happen.
Right, but yeah, we were more face to face with it
Right,
happening
right.
rather than hearing it on the news and it just kind of being like white noise, because it's not someone that we have a relationship with.
Right. Additionally, I always thought it was kind of weird. This is a little off, but isn't it weird that we like put formaldehyde in a body and then like try to keep it like looking kind of alive,
For the funeral?
for the funeral? Right.
That
like,
is interesting.
like, what are we doing there? Like, I want to remember this person, and then how often is it just a complete Like you're like, whoa, that's not how Grandpa looked.
Right. It's just off.
Yeah, this
It's like a bad copy.
yeah, like let's not do that. You know,
Mhm.
like anyway, I've always thought that random comment.
Yeah, somebody back in the day had a business idea and sold it to someone, and then everybody else was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that."
Yeah,
Something like that.
funerals in general are really like I don't know. I guess more recently it's more of a celebration of life,
Yes.
which I like, and having memories and those memories coming out, and then those can be the ripple that you were talking about.
Right.
But traditional sad funeral with a fake looking body. I don't know if we're ever really dealing with the death of that person in that scenario. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure
Maybe.
some people are, and not to say that it's not okay to be sad and to cry,
Right.
and those are all parts of it, certainly.
Right. But yeah, I think there's a art in having a celebration of life.
Yeah. If you at your funeral, would you rather people be crying or laughing?
Laughing, I'd say.
Yeah,
That's what I'd be looking for.
for sure. For me, or cry, or both, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah.
I'd want them to miss me.
Yeah, miss my sense of humor, you know?
Yes. Absolutely. I know someone that won't, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Just sit up there and just tell dad jokes. That would be awesome.
In your honor.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna happen now.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm going to live for quite a long time. So.
Yeah. So I gotta write that down in my notes
Yeah.
and not forget.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyways, coming back to the topic, the celebration of life aspect sparked the original thought of this podcast, which is, are you living in a way that people will want to celebrate, or you would celebrate for yourself? And how do we figure out if we are living in that way or not?
How do we figure that out?
Right. I think it's through tough conversations, because a lot of people, like you said, society, or they follow along with society's norms or what they're supposed to be doing. And that doesn't fit for every person. Now, a lot of people, it is what they want to do. And that's wonderful, as long as they know that and they're congruent with it.
What do you mean tough conversations? Tough conversations with who?
With yourself. And opening up about
Nope,
that
I'm
with
out.
Coach.
Nope. See ya. No way am I opening up that door. What about thinking about my own mortality? No.
Right. But you can lie to yourself all you want.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's that voice in the back of your mind that knows. And having someone there that you can actually discuss it with, that's not going to judge you for anything that you're doing currently, I feel is the best way to work through something like that.
I totally agree. As I alluded to earlier, I think a lot of anxiety and depression comes from the fact that we're not dealing with the fact that we are going to die, and we're not dealing with the fact that we're not being congruent with ourselves, which, if you've listened to any of these podcasts before, we talk about congruence quite often. Incongruence is stress, and you're laying a constant stress, a constant weight that you're carrying around because you're not living the life that you know that you should be, whatever that is.
Right. Yeah, and that's different for everybody, but
Certainly.
you have to dig to find out what that is for yourself.
So you're saying tough conversation, possibly with a coach or somebody that you care about.
Yes, somebody you trust.
That you trust, that's not going to judge you, and that you can
That's
work
right.
through some of the challenges of your mortality. And are you writing the narrative that you want?
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's a good thing to think about. I think that kind of bookends that. And I think I'd just like a little bit to talk about like the narrative that you're talking about of like, is this going to be an interesting story? Is this particular life that has this finite amount of time? Is this going to be something that I would be excited to read?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't know. It is different for everybody.
That's right.
And finding that and then taking action on that can be really difficult.
Yes. Finding it, discovery, awareness is always the first step. Then we need desire to change that, if there is any desire to change that, or to align towards what you're aware of now. And then taking the action to change those aspects of your life is where the real work comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had a thought, and then it escaped me. And I was...
Thank you for that update.
Yes. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Life... Shoot. It's escaping me again.
There.
It's almost there. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The saying is how much life are you getting out of your years? Are you actually living? Is something that's also powerful. So are you just like living and coasting, or are you squeezing as much life out of your life as you can? And what does that look like for you?
Well, Nick, let me ask you. Well, how am I supposed to live the life that I'm supposed to live? I have 2.5 kids. I have a house I have to pay for. I have, 2 cars in the garage. I have a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
How do you expect me to paint? How do you expect me to go back to singing? How do you expect me to play more golf? That all takes money. I got to take care of my family.
Yeah, well, why do you do all those things?
Why do what in the scenario? Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah, like let's dive into why you have all these things. And, there are some responsibilities. You can't just, drop your kids off somewhere and not have kids anymore. I mean, you could, but.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't, right?
Yeah, don't do that. That's a responsibility you're going to hold on to. Responsibility to the commitment you made to your wife. And I'm sure that, marriages have their own things that they're working through, but there are ways to start working your life down the path you desire. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens through small changes and through awareness of where you are now and where you want to be in the future. And if you have a heading, you can go towards it. But if you are, like I said, coasting and you are unsure of where to direct your life, you're never going to get aligned with who you want to be and who you are today.
That's really good advice.
And that's why discovering it and building awareness is the first step. And then we make actions that start just nudging you towards it closer and closer and closer. Because you've spent your whole life up until now getting to where you are. And at some point, and maybe not, but for a lot of people, at some point, other responsibilities and things that they feel like they should do takes them away from things that they would actually want to do.
A lot of times, to me, it comes down to what decisions that you're making and what are you prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, and now, look, I don't have kids, so you can dismiss this argument if you want. But it does make logical sense that you showing your kids that this is what you need to do to be happy. You need to take some time to write your own story, to do your own things. You showing your kids that seems to be logically a good lesson.
Yes.
Do you want your kids to be unhappy and not do what they want to do? Well, you're showing them how to do that.
Yes, you're always an example.
Whether you want to be or not, that's what you signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
So are you doing what's best for you and your family and your husband or wife or whatever? Are you, by not doing something for you, are you hindering them?
Mm-hmm. Every time decisions are a funny thing because, yes, you can make decisions that are going to change your life, but every time you don't make those decisions, you are also changing your life.
Right? Yeah, doing nothing is doing something.
Yeah, that's deciding to not do anything.
Right, exactly. And allowing yourself sometimes to do that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, there's always a flip side to the coin.
That's right. And yeah. And as we try to nudge our lives towards the congruency of where we want to be, it does take just a series of decisions to get us there. And that can be decisions on a daily basis, decisions on weekly, monthly, yearly, but it is a succession of decisions that leads us to anywhere in life.
Yeah. And
conscious or subconscious.
Are you making congruent decisions with where you think that you want to be?
Yeah, that's the hard part about it.
Yeah. So let death inspire you like a dog inspires a rabbit.
Thanks, 21 Pilots.
Get out there and take action for yourself. Set that example for your family. Create that win-win that serves you and it serves your family.
Yes.
Get out there and do it. Take action.
Yes, and really take some time to think about the story that you'd like to write about your own life. And if it is something that you would want to read, something that you align with, are you the character that you think you actually are? Because there's a lot of incongruencies there too. Sometimes we think we are something and our actions are not it.
Great points. On that note, let's wrap this up.
Yep.
It was a good episode.
This episode is now going to die.
It is the end time for this episode. If you are ever interested in having a conversation about death or coaching, please hit us up either in the Patreon, gentleartlifestyle.com. All of those things would be great.
Yes, wonderful. Thanks for listening.